How does it feel to be back? You have that little Elite Eight poster.
Yeah, it's nice. We've done some cool upgrades in here, but it's just a thrill to be back on the court. We've been going at it for a couple of weeks now. You saw that we're a little shorthanded with some injuries like everybody's dealing with, but just thrilled to be back, kind of getting the stamp set on this year's team and setting the tone moving forward.
How would you kind of sum up the competition level in practice, given all the new guys you got?
It's definitely probably at an all-time high since we've been here, and we anticipated that with the depth that we've had, the talent that we've brought in, combined with the returners. It's been good and bad at times, to be honest. I love the competition. At times we've had some guys trying to, mark their territory, so to speak. And the neat thing is when we've challenged them to make it positive as far as our team's growth, they've responded to that. So the competition now the last week or so has been really positive, pushing each other, but encouraging each other through it all. And then, a big part of this group is going to be guys buying into what we decide is the starting lineup, who's getting the minutes. We can't play them all. There's only 200 minutes for 5 people. That's going to be a challenge. And if we buy into it, the versatility that I think we have potentially could be a real strength of ours.
Wayne, can you just speak further on that depth and versatility? Is this the best team you've had since you've been here?
It's hard to say best, obviously. It's October, but potentially could be the most talent, the most depth that we have. For sure. Now we've got a long ways to go, and again, blending basically 7 returners with 7 new guys. Everybody wants to be on the floor because of that level of competitiveness they have. But if they buy into it, and I think style of play, we're trying to sell everybody into going and playing your 3, 4, 5 minutes as hard as you can, and you'll be excited for somebody else to come in for you to keep that tempo or pressure up. So that's what we're going to be looking to do early. Although we have to be healthy and we have to be productive if you're called upon to take advantage of the depth we think we have.
One of the more noticeable things, just from a brief look at the team, is how some guys have been able to transform their bodies.
Yeah.
Rodrigue, Isaiah come to mind. What have you guys been able to accomplish in the weight room this offseason?
I think as soon as last season ended and the dust settled, we challenged those guys, are we going to be content or are we going to thirst for more? And I know those two that you mentioned want to have a bigger hand in things and went to work, Jeff Macy in the off season. And then we've hired our own full-time strength and conditioning coach for the first time here, Sean Conity, who's been with us now for I think 6 weeks. They've really set the tone early this fall, and then you look at some of the guys that have transferred in, they're mature guys, so they've been through great strength and conditioning programs as well. But even Roman, who's a little bit hampered with a knee injury, but before that had shown it really increased mobility up and down. He's done a nice job of kind of getting a little better shape, strengthening his body up a little bit. So great commitment by our guys in anticipation of this season.
You mentioned injuries. Anybody considered to be long-term or pretty low-key in that regard?
Jared's coming off a long. He's been out for, I think, maybe 5 or 6 weeks with a deal with his foot, but he's back now. Ahmad Rand broke his finger in a practice a few weeks back. He should be coming back before too long. Everybody else, it's just kind of nicks and scrapes, nothing too serious.
Heard you say multiple times during practice, don't get too high or too low. Why is that an important message for your team, given some of the new expectations that you have this year?
Well, you love the enthusiasm and the energy. You just want it to come from the right place and not be kind of a false sense of security about yourselves. And so we love, you saw it in the postseason, we love sharing success, and when your teammate makes a great play, celebrate it at the right time. But we know that there's going to be some dog days, and I challenged them, let's make sure we keep an even keel here. We're never too high, we're never too low, because we've seen it. If teams get too excited early in a game and then they kind of burst their bubble and don't finish as strong. So that's a big part of mental toughness and mental maturity, which you'll hear me probably mention a lot here in the next few weeks. Mental maturity, we've got to develop that in this group.
Because so many of your newcomers are older guys, do you foresee any of them becoming leaders on this team, or has that happened already?
It hasn't happened, but we're hoping that it does. Now, guys have taken strides. Maurice was really good over the summer. Warith has really picked it up of late. Roman's been really rock solid. Jared and Gianni were good through a lot of the spring and summer, and then they've kind of had, like, you know, Jared's been out, he hasn't practiced, so it hasn't been quite the same, but it will, you know, we'll challenge him to get back to where he was. But that's going to be something. It's easy to lead now, but when playing time and those starting positions are handed out, you know, you can't wane in those moments. You've got to continue with the positive leadership, and that's something we're still trying to cultivate.
To that point, with Ethan leaving, you know, obviously a veteran presence, how important is it for other guards to step up in his absence?
Yeah, it's huge, and you know, your bigs can lead too, but you know, the guards are the ones that have the ball in their hands a lot, demand a lot of the focus and attention. So we've got to get that from them. And I mentioned Gianni and Jared really growing up and doing a nice job, but there's no reason some of the new guys can't take that on. Dexter's been really vocal. Trey's been really positive, you know, the last week or so with his leadership. We've got to have it, you know, moving forward as well. But, you know, it's like when we lost, you know, GP2, somebody else had to step up. We lost Stevie and Drew, somebody else, you know, we lost Trace, and it always happens. I would hope that it happens a little bit sooner than maybe it did last year. But we'll certainly miss guys like Ethan and Zach, but expect some new guys to kind of step up for the cause here.
When energy is low, who do you look up to bring it back up?
I think Gianni probably and Jared will be the guys I could go to and challenge. We'll expect it from them. Again, never too high, never too low. You know, great leaders lead even when things aren't going their way, and so that's something that we'll keep an eye on as we move forward.
At the end of last season, during the whole run, you were like, okay, it hasn't hit me yet. It hasn't hit me yet every game. When did, I guess, the postseason, the Elite Eight, when did it finally hit you? Was it during the summer? Was it when it all ended?
Yeah, it's a good point, because I even mentioned to my wife the other day, gosh, I'm not sure that I've ever sat down by myself to take it in. And she reminded me that we had a moment. We went to Mexico for a couple weeks in May, just the family. And there was a couple opportunities there where it was like, wow, it hit us that, you know, the team took us on an incredible ride. But as a coach, you're now thirsting for the next thing. So quickly put it behind us, and it's neat that we've got some things hanging on the walls. I think the banners are going up tomorrow, but you know, it's kind of, you're never as good as your last game, and you got to move forward, or whatever that saying is. So we're excited to kind of get started into 21-22, and this is a new group. It was great what we did a year ago, but it's behind us, and now we want to move on to the next thing.
How excited are you and the guys this year to have fans inside of Gill after just a season of nothing?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. This place becomes such a tough arena for our opponents to play in when we've got the crowds in there, and we're looking forward to getting them back. And it's crazy. I can't remember exactly. I know it was sometime in the spring. Somebody mentioned we won 9 in a row away from Gill, which, you know, for a while it was tough for us to get road wins. So it's neat that we've kind of developed that in our program as well. And we'll look forward to our fan base being here to help us along, but then also carry a little bit of that confidence that we've created when we head out on the road this year as well.
Along the lines of, you know, moving on to a new season, how do you approach trying to stay hungry from you all the way down?
Well, you know, it's great. Guys like Jared and Gianni have been talking since the end of last season. Like, we weren't satisfied with our preseason. We thought we could have performed better early in conference play as well. And so we've kind of set new goals for ourselves. You know, we're hoping that we go to Vegas. We're playing for seeding in the NCAA tournament, not having to win it all to get there. And I know it's a tough road and it's early. I'd never like talking about postseason this time of year, but it tells you about our guys' mindset and how quickly, you know, they've moved on. And those two guys in particular feel like they are the guys that are going to be challenged to lead now. It's their turn. And so we're going to hold them accountable to that. But I'm proud that those were some of the things they first mentioned, you know, as early as, you know, late April and May of last season.